let me introduce like my fellow guests here. Let's start with the first one. He is with his company since 2016. So truly maneuvering the ship through, you know, all the ups and downs and pivots like I've been talking about right now. Massive experience taking over the company or being responsible from when it was most likely even a niche player and pivoting it to, 10xing the company and creating, I would say, world's leading meal kit company. Please give a big round of applause for Björn Kuse. Okay, now we will sit down. Let's relax a little bit. Thank you, Björn. Happy having you here. As the next guest, we have our Doctor of Economics. It's not a big surprise with his research background and extensive consultancy background. It's not a surprise that he likes to build companies data-driven, likes to scale based on data and not so much about gut feeling and guessing. He is the Chief Financial Officer for his company since 2021. So he will come also with a fresh eyes on the scenes. And he's here to build Europe's leading brand for high-quality natural foods. Give a big round of applause for Dr. Daniel Kundt from KoRo. And last but absolutely not least, I'm super happy to have her here. Like, we share a bit of a special connections, both born and raised in Austria. Happy to have you here today. She is in charge for a company and she oversees 1,400 employees. I would say she is in charge for one of the true heavyweights of not just food e-commerce, but I would say e-commerce in general. She's responsible for Germany and Austria and is with her company since 2016. Today she is the CEO, the managing director of Lieferando. Welcome. Big round of applause for Katharina Hauke. Amazing. Thanks for having you here. I think it's a super interesting panel because we cover quite a variety of players in this field, right? Like, we start from a platform business. We have, you know, building an own brand, doing online and retail, and then actually I would even say creating an entire new industry within that field. And maybe let's start with you. When I think about HelloFresh, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, I hear convenience, and this is what is like the number one thing I think about HelloFresh. So the question is, like, would you say you're a premium product in that area?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Great pleasure to be here. Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think you're right. No, when you mentioned I started with HelloFresh back in 2016, and I think back then online food was in Germany at a fairly early stage, and I think few people knew about HelloFresh, but I think it wasn't actually super clear back then how HelloFresh is different, for example, from Lieferando or other players in the industry. I think at this point in time, I think, as you rightfully so said, we've essentially established our own category, right, which is meal kits in itself, but also food solutions as a direct consumer brand more broadly. And in that space, convenience is definitely one of the key propositions, right? So the fact that you don't need to do meal planning, the fact that we deliver it right to your doorstep, but it's also peace of mind in the sense that recipes actually do work, right? Everybody can cook with HelloFresh. There's a success guarantee in making it work, but there's a whole lot of other benefits that we provide, variety, right? We have 44 recipes every single week, every week new recipes. There's the discovery phase, there's the learning aspect, and there's the share of joy at sitting at the dinner table in a busy week and having had the feeling of delicious achievement and having it done. So I think it's the compass of all these benefits that we cater to.
Yeah, well, that's super interesting. So you would not even say like we are either premium or mid-price, or we are also like, I mean, clearly not discount, right?
No, not at all, right? I think HelloFresh is definitely if you think of our size at this point, if you think of the awareness, also the penetration levels we're having, HelloFresh is definitely a mass market product, and I mean this in a positive way, right? We are throughout all income levels. We're in the metropolitan areas. We're also in the rural areas, right, where you have less alternatives when it comes to online food. So we deliver to all the North Sea islands. So you can find HelloFresh everywhere, and it's a product for everyone.
Super interesting, very good. Daniel, like from Motatos, I understand that we, on our platform, we see a bit of a shift in consumer behavior. Like a couple of years ago, it was the big brand, the premium brand, and our customers wanted to get it for a discount, but this was the first entry point to our shop assortment. I understand for us, this has changed. People now looking more for a generic, commodities. So clearly a shift here. Is this something like you can... Do you observe a shift in your customer behavior on your side as well, with KoRo, with your assortment?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we need to understand what KoRo's product assortment is about, because we have basically two types of products. We have like the commodities, as you said, so basically products you can get at the same quality everywhere else. So like freeze-dried strawberries. Our freeze-dried strawberries are good, but as good as the ones you can get at Alnatura or wherever. So this is more a commodity, not defensible, and for those products we really also want to have a very good price, because we are not defensible, it's not a better quality, so we want to have a good price. But then we have other products that are unique, like a healthy Nutella alternative, so to say. And of course, it's much more expensive than Nutella because of the ingredients. But also for those products, we don't charge crazy margins. And this is, I think, the difference, because our economics just work a little bit differently. We work with very big AOVs, so we don't have so high logistic costs, so we don't need as much gross margin one. So basically for all our products, we have more or less the same gross margin one, which leads to low prices for the commodities and high but fair prices for the high quality products. So when you look at protein bars, when you go through DM and compare all the protein bars, we have one of the cheapest protein bars compared to all the brands, much more expensive than the private label. So I would say that kind of we are positioned from a price point, in the middle kind of. So when you look for a brand and not the private label one, because it's better quality also, because of the ingredients, then you have a good choice and a good price with KoRo, and we see that actually people want this, and that we actually have seen that also people shifting then from the very high price with very high margin brands towards KoRo. So yeah, we see a shift, but not within our product portfolio. So we don't see people going from this unique product to the commodities. So this split is not changing, but this, I think, because of our unique positioning.
Okay, that's super interesting to understand. So you're building your assortment probably with that, but we talk about assortment in a second, I would say. Katharina, super interesting to have you as part of this panel, because you don't have your own food product. You are the platform provider, and not a small one, but yeah, I mean, that's super clear. You're the biggest platform provider there is in that space, right? But do you see, because you're not, you have both ends. You have low price and you have premium at the same time. Do you see a change in customer behavior and what's happening out there?
So, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me. Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for our appearance. First, some numbers on our consumers, maybe. Alexander, you're absolutely right. I'm leading the tech company Lieferando, who is part of JustEatTakeaway.com. So Chat in short, we don't have much time. So Chat in short is a dinosaur, not only a heavyweight, also already 23 years old. Most people might not know that. Founded in the Netherlands, so that's where the orange color comes from. Operating in 20 countries and serving more than 100 million consumers who can order from more than 680,000 partners. So when it comes to consumer behavior, we have a lot of data to analyze. And when we come to the German market that I'm leading, so that's Lieferando is our German and Austrian brand, and we also celebrate our 15th birthday tomorrow. Maybe you want to sing. And we offer the broadest choice and variety in food. We have a coverage of more than 90% in Germany, which makes us special to other competitors. And in Germany, we serve more than 15.5 million consumers who can order from 35,000 partners. And those partners are mainly, historically, restaurant partners, food partners. And more, we get into empowering everyday convenience and start also offering retail, groceries, and everything else. And yes, the consumer behavior changed rapidly, especially over the last 3 years, also with the pandemic. So consumers want convenience, which means what they want, when they want it, instantly meaning in less than 1 hour in our case. And they want a perfect consumer experience, so you need a lot of data and customize it to the luxury dinner at Go by Steffen Hensler, for example, or the kebab later with a 2-for-1 campaign that we also have.
Yeah. So is that correct that you see a change in what people expect from the delivery experience and like what the convenience factor is growing? That's helping you, but you cannot necessarily observe a clear tendency to cheaper price points or to, it's not a shift here because, yeah.
For individuals, maybe, and depends on the person who is ordering. Maybe the students for the next football game, we're sponsoring UEFA also. Maybe you have seen some orange brands also on, at one of our football matches. And of course, someone maybe wants a discount, the other one wants especially the perfect service and the luxury expected time of arrival. Very different when it comes to what consumer wants. What we try to make consumer experience as positive as possible and to make our customers, the 15.5 million, sticky and loyal customers. So loyalty is a huge topic, and we have a special eye on our first-time ordering yes. customers to make them recurring customers and then loyalists. So we have a loyalty program with stamp cards, also discounts and so on.
Let's talk about loyalty in a second. I think that's super interesting for all of us because, I mean, this is probably the 2024 challenge of e-commerce, right? Acquisition costs was basically what we've been talking for the last 5 years, and now everything I hear is, okay, we need to have lifetime values that need to be in line with that. So, but let's cut to that a little bit later because what I hear from all three of you, and I think that's super interesting, you all have kind of like, not a pivot, but at least some amendments or changed in the way you structure your assortment. Maybe Björn, we can start with you because you evolved your product quite a bit, right?
Yeah, that's definitely right. Just adding to what we've said earlier, you know, I think let's face it, 2023 has been a complicated year for e-commerce, right? So it's probably plenty of talk here also on this expo. We've seen stubbornly high inflation, really low consumer confidence, generally GDP, you know, at stable levels at best, and broadly in food, not just online food. To private label and discounters play a strong role, right? So how do you succeed in this type of environment? And we're strongly of the opinion that if you look at what's compelling for the consumer, you look at price value, and I think it's tricky to compete mainly on price, right? So what we are heavily investing is to really make the value part of HelloFresh better and better and better, because if you think about what's certain in e-commerce and in online food, what has good enough today and what's a great innovation might not be good enough tomorrow, right? You need to constantly strive for more. So when we think about innovation and getting better and working on this value part at HelloFresh, I think it's the offering component. When I started, we had 5 recipes each week, and you couldn't really choose them. Prior to the pandemic, we had 20. At this point in time, we have 44 recipes every single week, and we'll level up to more than 50 by the end of the year. And that's not just more of the same, it's a lot of new concept, right? We've launched fit and vital preference about, you know, nutritional goals when it comes to low carb, low calorie, high protein. We have monthly specials in our menu so that you say, hey, I enter the year with a boost recipe that helps me about a healthy and conscious choice when I start into the year. So it's that type of excitement that we want to spark. And secondly, it's doubling down on convenience, meaning speed. So we know that 80% of our consumers love recipes that are cooked in less than 25 minutes. You don't have the time, right? And HelloFresh is your enabler, because we have more than half of our recipes by the end of the year that can be done in max 25 minutes. We have really like recipes that can be done in 15 minutes, and we're heavily working on stuff that can be cooked and prepared in less than 5 minutes, right? So this entire highly convenient and ready-to-heat space is something that we're heavily investing in.
Interesting.
Just to add on this, I mean, I can, as a customer, also tell you that this works, because I have a full work day. So previously, I was a lot of ordering pizza with Lieferando, and I still do that. But on top of this, I have my 3 meals from HelloFresh in 25 minutes, and it's also, and I have the feeling that it's more, it's healthier in the end. And on the price point, maybe one observation that we have is that actually it's a lot about consumer trust. So we built the brand of KoRo around the trust, and also on the pricing trust. So for every product, you can see, for example, a price graph where you see this product was like 10% cheaper or more expensive like a year ago. You can really see every change and explanation why has the price changed. We have an article on the website explaining actually our algorithm to set prices, so that people actually, I mean, no one looks at this. We see that no one is looking at this, but people know, and we make research on this, people know that this is there. And people have the feeling that we have fair prices, therefore. So we would never go from 500 gram to 480 or something to trick the customer. And I think this maybe pays not off short term, but mid to long term. So we don't have a pricing problem. So when we increase our prices, because our suppliers have increased the prices, and we have the inflation, so raw materials were getting more expensive, we actually see that people are understanding this and are not hesitant to still buy it, so we're not losing customers if we increase the prices. Yeah. But this is built because we also decrease prices if the raw material prices decrease. And this is, I think, something that a lot of other food brands are not doing, because they then optimize for margin. And this I always say this is our hedge against supplier prices.
I see. Still, I'm not wrong if I'm saying like you're a bit of a champion in launching new SKUs, right? Like you have quite a broad assortment already, and sourcing new products, this is it's mainly the core competence of your company. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I think the way we source products is definitely what makes us successful. So that we have a very good sourcing team that has a lot of data. I mean, we know what people are looking for on the website. They are traveling a lot through different expos, looking what is the trend, especially in the US. A lot of food trends are like, the food trends that are here in 5 years are now already in the US. So we are looking at this, we are looking at a lot of data, what are people looking for, which combinations might work well. And in the end, we do very extensive research. So we are not, so for example, our nut butters, we don't have one supplier for every nut butter, for all the nut butters, but one supplier for every specific nut butter, because we really want to find globally the best producer of pistachio butter, for example. Yeah. And this is, it costs more, because of course you then have maybe a more expensive supplier, and this also costs us transaction costs, because we have a lot of suppliers. So we work actively with 400 suppliers. So probably you have a lot more, but for our size, it's quite a big effort. But this makes sure that we have the best product, and the product that the customers want, actually.
So we have an assortment component that's built around inspiration a lot with HelloFresh, very much conversion driven and data point optimized, like on the specific SKU on your end. Assortment is a completely different take on your side, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I want to add how important customer centricity is, and how important it is to know what customers want. And in our case, for example, when we start with food, we have our food report over the last years. And for example, every 8th order is already vegan. Every 3rd order is vegetarian. And it starts by giving consultancy to our partners also, in that case restaurant partners, what to offer best for the consumers and to fulfill consumers' needs. And when we come to food, it's also the variety of cuisines, maybe also the convenience of I would take your 5 minutes meal when I am hungry, not to get hangry. And now that I have those more than 15 million consumers, what do they want? Convenience and a broad range. They don't want to miss out anything. And they want to know, if I go to this platform, I have everything I need from whatever I crave when it comes to food. And on top now, it's not assortment, but it's product and services from our partners. We enrich our offering by also groceries and convenience, electronics from MediaMarkt, Lush, cosmetics, flowers from Flora Green, and so on, so that you have a one-stop shop where you can find anything that you need on demand.
So broadening the assortment, venturing into new categories, just offering that one-stop solution. This is like your...
Correct.
Like, not trying to be more specific, but actually with that huge customer base, you were letting us know.
All for the consumer. And on the other hand, it's very important, we are in e-commerce here also for the partners. We enable mainly the small and individual stores, be it restaurants or now retail, Germany-wide, to take part and participate in that increasing online demand. And they make money in the e-commerce that they wouldn't have made without us or before working with us.
Very interesting. E-commerce never goes without the last mile, right? That just goes hand in hand. For us as Motatos, our challenge is like once we hand over to a carrier, doesn't matter who it is, you know, we give it out of our hand. That's just the nature of the game. This is great because these are amazing partners. This is sometimes not great because we are not in control and it doesn't work out all the time, right? Let me start with you, Daniel, because if I'm not mistaken, we are sitting in the same boat, right? Like we are handing over at one point and then we lose control. Is that, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I mean, we made a lot of mistakes there. Our first approach was just to get like offers from all the DHL and UPS and so on, and just go for the cheapest one, because we thought, okay, that's comparable service. It's just about the price. So we went for the cheapest one. Actually, what happened when we did like NPS surveys and wanted to understand what are the customer complaints about, it was a big chunk related to this last mile delivery by then the carrier. So actually, we then tried to figure out a good ratio between service and price, and yeah, just tried a lot, tried different carriers out. I got the customer feedback, and then per market, because I mean we are not only Germany but also Europe-wide, per market have found like for us now a good working carrier, which might not be the cheapest one, but I mean in the end, if the customers don't like the experience, they don't come back, and this is much more expensive than the additional 2 cents on the package.
So despite the pressure of costs, you were like, this is something you would not sacrifice?
Oh, I mean, there's of course a threshold. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pay like double the price. It's always a ratio, but in the end, the quality must be good. We also experimented, for example, with same-day delivery at some point. Yeah. In the times where Gorillas and Flink came up with, where they're like, okay, is this a problem? Let's test out how important is it. For our customers, this, for example, was not as important. Yeah. So this is something we then stopped. But yeah, so price is not. It plays a role, but it's not the only thing. Interesting.
Before getting to you, Björn, because I think you have the most innovative solutions around this, I would be super curious to hear from you, because I mean delivery is essential for your business. And you have, I've learned that now, you have a massive delivery fleet, but still most of it is not in your own hands.
Absolutely. So out of our more than 15 million orders per month, more than 90% of the orders are delivered by our partners themselves. This is why I said I'm the tech consultant, I'm the tech advisor for those 35,000 partners. I'm giving them visibility, I digitize their business, and then visibility, new orders, more customers, revenue, and they do delivery by themselves. For around about 10% of our orders, where partners do not have their own couriers, yes, we have a Lieferando fleet of more than 10,000 couriers, all fully employed in unlimited contracts with sickness getting paid and holidays. This is really important for us that you know that, because there's some differences in the market, and we're proud to live our values in that sustainability, also with our employees. And yes, 10,000 couriers in more than 70 cities where we deliver for the restaurant or media market, for example.
But I have one follow-up question, because Daniel told us like they are selecting the last mile carrier and try to balance quality with price. You can't do this, right? You can't tell your partners what service they should be using or how good their service needs to be. Does that not fall back to you?
Partners, you mean now really with the restaurant partner,
Yeah.
and they should deliver themselves or use our logistics, you mean?
No, I mean like the restaurant partners that do it on their own.
No, I can't not tell them anything,
Yeah.
but to convince them to work with us, because every fifth German orders via Lieferando, so there's a huge part they can still participate in e-commerce. I cannot force my partners to whatever, also not, for example, to sustainability. I can offer sustainable packaging and make it as easy as possible for them to book in the web shop sustainable packaging, but I can only incentivize them, motivate them, or tell about it.
And then your brand needs to be stronger in case something goes bad. So we will talk about brand strength in a second, but I mean, you have a different take on last mile.
Yeah, so again, going back to my initial point of how do we raise price-value perception and the value component, first one is offering innovation constantly. And the second one is, for us, the delivery experience, I think is so pivotal in online food, especially in fresh food, because I think consumers are less forgiving as opposed to, say, electronics or fashion, right? It's fresh food, it needs to come on time. I want to prepare the dinner.
That's true.
Perhaps more concerned with packaging. So that's why we've decided over the course of the years to invest in our own last mile option as a D2C brand. So again, early 2020, fully relying on third-party carriers. At this point in time, more than every second HelloFresh box is delivered by our own last mile, right? Which means we do the routing, we do the training of drivers, and we can fully, we can satisfy customers in a better way. I think it's still a blended mix of both to make sure it works from an economics perspective, but ultimately we've seen a heavy increase in satisfaction level and also in customer lifetime. And I think secondly, this also serves for us as a platform to drive further innovation. So specifically, HelloFresh customers tend to be providing feedback on packaging, right? Is there too much packaging? So one thing that we're really working on is providing a returnable crate option. So you don't imagine you get your HelloFresh box delivery, but instead of a card box, we basically have a recycled plastic tray. The driver hands you over your meal kits, the chilled products, and then takes the returnable crate back, right? That's one thing we're working on. And the second one, we'll never be an imports business, right? We're different. We don't serve the 30 minutes need, but our average lead times are more in the range of 4 to 5 days from when you order to when we deliver, just because we don't want to create food waste. We procure only and we source only what we sell, right? That's in the core of what we do. But still, we're working on options to offer next day delivery, which of course then unlocks new potentials for new customers, but also for customers that want to unpause and still get a box, towards end of week and still think about how to solve the weekend.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I hear from everyone here, and it was for us the same. Like, no one is pushing for the ultimate service delivery experience in that sense. Like, I don't hear anyone talking about same day anymore. I mean, for you it's different, but you're not talking about the 10 minutes window. You're talking about the more reasonable window. That
Less than 1 hour.
Yeah.
But we talked about it just right before the panel, that the 10-15 minutes delivery, the quick commerce, is just not rational and not reasonable. And consumers do not want that, actually, or do not need that and require that. What the consumers want is actually that the expected time of arrival is correct. So I want my food at the time you promised me, or I want my order at the time, also the electronics, because maybe I'm not at home yet. And I said 6 p.m., please come 6 p.m.
Direct to consumer, and we're heavily reliant on data to make the right judgment call from a business and consumer perspective, and ultimately all these decisions, how much to invest in your own last mile, which type of fleet model you have, how to play with pricing, I think always comes down to customer lifetime value, right? It's always a function of what's the direct cost, what's the indirect cost because of compensation, how much better is customer satisfaction, therefore how much more do I sell, where is basket size increasing, and is that value equation better than what I have now?
I loved it, and I'm 100% sure if we go around like the expo today and see all the stages, so many people will talk about like how to keep the customers happy and engaged. I think this is a massive shift, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now I'm very humbled to talk about brand building because Motatos, how many have heard it? Yeah. Oh wow, that's better than last year. So we're doing a good job on that, but still we are so small. I mean, we have true brand awareness heavyweight champions here. I think in your areas, both, especially you, Katharina, and you, Björn, like you have amazing aided or even unaided brand awareness figures in the area you're working with. But still, like all three of you, you are still investing, still significant into brand building. Let's start with Katharina. Like,
okay.
The Champions League, probably not super cheap, I would assume.
No, but it pays off because we are a global player. And everything we do in global scale, we do for 20 countries. And there's a scale effect that I can bring to my partners, in that case, in every soccer game or football game. And the same with our TV commercials, and the same with our packaging and so on. And maybe let's ask also here, who has ordered from Lieferando already? Okay. And who, without having ordered yet, who from you knows Lieferando as a brand? So this is really important and really valuable for us, that every 5th German orders from Lieferando, and every 7 out of 10 unaided know Lieferando, and if they see orange even, they might get hungry or know that they can also order anything else. So brand is really important and makes a sustainable power for our partners, especially, like I said, the small and medium or individual and family-owned businesses. They could never afford such a marketing power that we translate into their appearance.
Yeah, okay, so no plans to stop doing that, even if the awareness is high, you keep pushing on that, and you see that's important. Seems like it's the same for you, right? Super high brand awareness, but still your tactics is like, let's invest more, or at least keep it up.
I think generally speaking, we definitely have, over the last 5-6 years, heavily invested in brand, and that led to super high aided and unaided brand awareness. I think we can always do better and always do more, right? Online food is definitely not at its end, and I definitely believe in the further growth path. So I wouldn't say we're not investing in those metrics, but certainly as you mature to some extent and as you reach a certain size, I think you move a little bit from the pure awareness focus to consideration. You move a little bit down the funnel, and I think this is, again, think about what I said earlier. It's about raising the price-value equation to the positive. So the offering innovations, the leveling up of the delivery experience. So you want to make sure that this message is translated, right? So you need to differentiate yourself there very well to direct, also indirect competitors, and you need to tell that specific story and not just to say, hey, this is a meal kit, have you ever tried HelloFresh? So what does that mean for the marketing mix? I think we're still doing linear TV, and obviously YouTube is a topic, but I also believe a lot in the creator space, let's say influencer marketing, podcasting, also paid social, where you can place also specific messages around your product and storytelling around this. The example of the 15 minutes recipes I said earlier, the example of customize your HelloFresh meals by going from traditional chicken to organic chicken, or from a chicken recipe to a vegan recipe on the same dish, and so those stories need to be conveyed, and ultimately then it's also a lot marketing tactics in CRM. So inbox experience, in-app messages, in-app banners, all these using organic social, I think these are all brand building measures, right? So it's not just about this is the product, but what specifically have we to offer for your need.
What are the channels you would say these are the most efficient ones for you right now? Or what's your focus when it comes to selecting the media?
I think it's a super wide wide range of mix, right? We have 20 plus channels and paid marketing. Referral marketing is still a really important piece for us, right? If customers are happy with HelloFresh, they refer to another one.
Yeah.
And it's and then there's also customers coming back, right? Let's think about penetration. Old marketing rule, penetration is a leaky bucket, right? So customers come and go. Somebody might have tried HelloFresh a year ago, hasn't tried us since then, keeps coming back because he or she sees the news in a podcast that they like. So,
okay, yeah, thank you, Daniel. For us VC-backed companies, sometimes it's a bit more difficult to, invest big in brand from the beginning. But you're there now as well.
Yeah. So our approach was similar than what you said. That we looked at influencers and podcasts at the very beginning because this is good for branding. The influencers and the podcast hosts, they actually explain you the story and the narrative of the brand. But we chose the channels based like on a performance thinking. So influencer and podcast marketing is in our marketing mix considered to still be performance marketing and not the brand awareness marketing. So that's why we have like the discount codes in every podcast so that we can track how much customers come from the influencer. Of course, it also gives us other information that we can use. Yeah, if you come from like a fitness influencer, then probably you're also interested in fitness. Those kind of information that are also helpful. But so we steer the influencer game based on basic performance. So we did this like forever, and a year ago we thought, okay, now it's really time to invest in classic brand awareness marketing, like out of home, like TV, out of two reasons. First of all, with influencers and podcasts, you just reach certain target group, and then we were very strong in this target group, and we wanted to attack new target groups, and therefore we needed so retail was one channel to do so, but also on the marketing side to then start with TV, and there we actually needed to be just have the mindset of, okay, it doesn't pay off immediately, but we need to be a little bit more cautious because we were very data-driven, performance-driven. We wanted the marketing campaign to pay off very quickly. And this, was not working with TV, at least for us. But now we're doing it now for a year, approximately with TV, and now we actually see the positive effects on the other channels. And this, in the total mix, it actually helps us not only on the brand side, but also on the performance side, actually.
But that's super interesting to understand that it is an important part of your, it's a pillar of your strategy, but it has a lagging effect. So it took long. Is that, would you agree there? Because I mean, TV is something you do for years.
Absolutely. TV is super expensive. You cannot track, in our case also, how many orders does Christina Aguilera and Lato bring, but it's the top of mind brand awareness. And I'd also say in your case, we are here now at E-commerce Expo. We are in our digital bubble, but Germany, also Austria, but Austria is better in that. Germany is not as digital as we might think in our bubble. So offline or out of home or TV commercial is still necessary. And also in our case, 1 out of 5 German orders from Lieferando, but there are still 4 that I also can attract to order from Lieferando, and some of them are real offliners, so they would still call the restaurant, for example, and via TV I catch them better.
Makes sense. Some of you mentioned it before, like customer loyalty, super, like I still call it the topic of the year. Björn, a question for you, more working on a subscription base. Is loyalty even an issue for you?
I think winning the hearts and minds of consumers on a continuous base should be the core of every direct-to-consumer company, right? Independent whether you are a hard subscription, soft subscription, or one-off purchase type of company. So I think it is absolutely pivotal to long-term success, right? I think it's totally fair to say that at the point in time, you always start to create product market fit at first, right? And then you have some sort of product market fit, and then you start to scale in marketing, right? And you have fixed your unit economics. And this is the point in time where you heavily build up your active customer base. But then as you mature, again, yes, you want to build up the active customer base further, but you want to make sure that the penetration bucket is not really leaky, right? Referring to what I said earlier. And I think there's again, lots of tactics around it, but it comes back again to the key points that I raised before. First and foremost, you need to constantly innovate and further expand your offering along the lines for us that I said earlier. Second, you need to make sure that the delivery experience is as seamless as possible. Customers are forgiving to some extent, but only up to a certain extent. And then I think it's around playing, for instance, with tactics, right? With CRM tactics, using the app in the right way, having a loyalty program. So, for instance, HelloFresh, and that's. We had several types of loyalty programs at different points in time, and because we act in a data-driven way, we have no holy cows. Sometimes, if something is not providing the benefit that we see, we also step back. So we're currently redeveloping a new one that's also going to be available to German customers before the end of the year. So stay tuned. There's definitely there's more to come.
Okay, cliffhanger. Good. Loyalty also, you mentioned it already before, right? Like you also,
yeah, it's very important. Food is joy, and we want to make it even more fun to reorder, and not only for the consumer, but also for the partner to have a higher average order frequency and sticky, loyal customers. Yeah. So every 5th order in our stamp card loyalty program, you get 10% off. This brings reorder rate higher and makes more fun for our partners also. It's really important, yeah.
It's also a very interesting topic for us. I mean, we're very much focused on new customer acquisition for a long time. Then at some point, customer acquisition costs are increasing, and we won't make the CLV to CAC ratio better by lowering the CAC, but we have to look at CLV. On the same time, it is for us as a brand very important to not work with vouchers. So the one thing that most of e-commerce brands doing, like, okay, you haven't ordered for 3 months, I give you like 10 euros voucher, something like this. This is like a decision we made a lot of years ago that we don't do this at all, because we think once you start with it, it's like kind of a drug you cannot get away from. It's at least our belief. So this measure is not available for us just because we took it ourselves. So we are now also working on loyalty programs to like this gamification aspect. So you gather points if you buy something, if you write a review, those kind of things, and from those points then you can get some goodies. That's now our approach. But to be honest, we are still working on it, and we want to roll out it in the next month. So far, I would say that we have still a lot of potential. Saying, or put it another way, we are not doing a lot on the CRM side, and just rolling it out now.
May I add, this is a really strong approach, especially in your phase of the company, because vouchers, yes, are a short-term drug, but they won't bring you profitability, and loyalty has to be a win-win-win situation for us also, for the partner, for the consumer, but also we have to be profitable because, for example, we have to pay the couriers their salaries, and it just doesn't work with throwing money away. So there has to be an eye on growth, of course, and investing, but smart investing.
Yeah, very good, absolutely. Before we get to an end,
people are getting hungry, I see.
People are getting hungry. I'm getting hungry. I'm waiting for the Lieferando voucher code.
Yeah, I'm coming.
No, but before we get to an end, like I think like super great.
We just talked about vouchers, and this vouchering is not a long-term story, Alexander.
Still, this is what gets people going. Yeah. No, but before we come to an end, I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad because I understand, okay, we all try to be innovative on our product portfolio, we pivot a little bit here, we understand that none of us feels like we need to beat the absolute lowest price point to still attract our customers. This is good. Still, in despite of, the pressure on unit economics, we need to find solutions that keep us in business. And we understand that we cannot ignore the service level for our customers. Convenience is something that seems to be valued from all of our customer groups. I think this is great news. What makes me sad is I didn't hear the word sustainable one single time today. 3 years ago, this would have been like the major thing, like all stages would have been talking about sustainable. Our company is built on the DNA of sustainability. I was hoping to hear more of that. So final question, maybe one time around the table. What do you see as the future for food e-commerce, and how does sustainability come in there? Björn, let's start with you.
I was actually waiting for your question, right? And didn't want to step in and say, hey, I need to say something about sustainability. So thankfully you did that before we're ending. You know, again, right, as HelloFresh, what we are saying, and I think this is quite a strong statement, we want to be the most sustainable food solution at scale, right? So not the most sustainable food solution that you can ever possibly think of, but we're a mass market product, right? So we combine impact for us is the sustainability advantages that we provide, but times the scale that we can achieve with that, right? So, and there's structural advantages that we have, the direct-to-consumer supply chain, cutting the middleman, the fact that we only source what has been ordered, the fact that we provide pre-portioned ingredients to our end customers, and all of this causes 30% less food waste at home and basically translate into, I think it's 22% less end-to-end sustainability or end-to-end CO2 footprint on a comparable meal, right? Obviously differs from what you eat. Now, we aren't doing all things right, and we are on a path to get better. Specifically, the things that I'm really proud of is the highest share of CO2 footprint for us is obviously the ingredients, right? It's the recipes, more than, or close to 60%. We've reduced that in Germany in the last 2 years by 18%. How did we do that? Well, providing more vegan options. So there's 7 vegan recipes in the menu every single week, providing more vegetarian options. So that's around 1/3 of the entire menu. And that is not intended as telling customers what to do, but providing the option. The second thing we've been doing is, again, in the space of ingredient CO2 footprint, is we've launched climate hero recipes. So those are recipes that have a 50% less CO2 footprint than the average recipe in our menu, and those are marked as such. And we're also working together with the Together for Carbon labeling initiative. So there's academics, but also other companies like Oatly, Nestle, Froster involved on developing a carbon label for food. And we've discussed this also with members of the German Bundestag. So that's one piece. The second one is e-fleet, right? We have cargo bikes running in Hamburg, but we also do a test of electric fleet in Hamburg. Our Benelux colleagues are a step ahead. They have an entire e-fleet already at this point in time. And I think those are, and then it's the returnable crates option that I mentioned before in order to get less packaging waste and a better packaging perception to our customers. So yes, agree, it's core, and there's comes and goes, right? In high inflation times and tight budget times, you might not think as much about sustainability and all these things, but I'm sure they are going to bounce back, and if you're then well positioned in these fields, for the customer segment that's super interested in that, you have to provide a compelling solution. Because again, expectations rise every single year.
Nice, very, very good to hear. Thanks for that. Daniel, healthy food, yes. Sustainable food, question mark. Is the customer asking for it?
I mean, twofold question. Let me first come to how we see it, and then I will give you one sentence about how we see customers see it. I mean, KoRo was built around the idea of saving packaging waste. So that was really the original idea, to have this bulk packaging, because you save basically the repackaging process. So we basically we have a lot of plastic bags, but this is, in a lot of cases, this is the packaging that the producer has in his factory. So what we could do is to throw this plastic bag away and put it in a sustainable packaging so that the customer thinks it's more sustainable, but of course, taking the package that is already there is more sustainable, and of course it also saves costs. So, however, the biggest part of our CO2 emissions is not from the packaging, but from the farming, from the agricultural part. And this is where it also plays together with healthy. If we look at what are really unsustainable ingredients, when we talk about palm oil, for example, this is also not the most healthy ingredient you could put into your product. So this plays hand in hand, so it's a very important topic, and we invest a lot in this. First of all, we are at the point of measuring it. Yeah, so in this, I mean, I'm a finance guy. What you measure is what you get. So this is what we now set up to understand what is our CO2 footprint, how can we reduce it. But we are still not where we want to be, but it's very important for us. However, on the customer side, we see a shift of importance from sustainability to the health aspect. So this is, I think, something 2 years ago, as you said, was much more important. Now our customers, when we ask them what is very important, it's more on the health side than on the sustainability side.
Okay.
And Lieferando has sustainability in its DNA. It's one of our strategy pillars. and we see it from 3 perspectives. It's people, partner, and planet. People, for example, also employing people, long-term relationship, inclusion, diversity, and belonging, 17 nations in my team. Partner, also here, that we are offering and incentivizing sustainable packaging that they get for the 1/4 of a price in other companies. And then planet, yes, we have the e-bikes also and everything we can do. Since 3 or 4 years, our office is a DGNB Gold certificated building. So we are looking at it in every angle, because in the end, the result is consumers want you to show and prove that you help and support to decrease carbon footprint, else they choose somebody else as a provider. So it's always consumer first.